What's up, everyone? Thanks for tuning in today for another episode of Niners News here on 49ers Hive. My name is Zach Hernandez. I'm joined by my co-host Matt Llewellyn, as always. And today we're going to be talking about Bucky Brooks ranking Nick Bosa as the second best second-year player. Matt, do you agree with this or disagree with it?
I find it hard to argue. Bosa is amazing, but it's one of those situations where you're running up against the quarterback position. And having seen Kyler Murray a couple times last year and, having watched some tape on him, the kid is going to be special. He's going to be really, really good. So, it's quibbling. You could probably swap them back and forth. I'm not going to be too mad about it. There's something about Kyler. The ball just flies out of his hands. He's going to be a really good quarterback. And quarterback's the premium position. So what are you going to do? That being said, second is nothing to sneeze at for Nick Bosa. So, it's kind of like Kyler Murray was drafted 1, Nick Bosa was drafted 2. They're both their rookie of the year on each side of the ball, pretty interchangeable. But, I can't complain about it. Nick Bosa is fantastic. I think he's going to be an anchor of this defense for years to come. I expect him to do even more, especially with hopefully a healthy D Ford coming back. And then you have Javon Kinlaw, and we're going to see what he can do. We have Ronald Blair and DJ Jones coming back from injury. The line is stacked, and the less that the defense can focus on Bosa, the more that helps him. And even if they do focus on Bosa, they're going to learn real quick that everybody else is going to eat too. So, it's a pick your poison kind of thing. And Bosa, to me, is just from a technique standpoint, he's so polished, and that's the thing that stands out about him. He's an athlete, and he's strong and he's pretty quick. He's a good athlete, elite hip bend, but his hands are just out of this world as far as his technique goes. So, it's good to see him getting recognized, and I can't say that I disagree with the list.
It's hard to disagree with, like you said, because you're going up against the premium position in a quarterback. And not only that, but Kyler Murray was phenomenal last year. We saw him do some things that were just breathtaking. He's extremely elusive. He's got a hell of an arm. He's accurate. He's accurate on the run. The guy's got a great career. And, I'll admittedly say I didn't know much about him coming out of college. I thought the Cardinals were dumb for passing up on Nick Bosa, but mainly because I was a big fan of Josh Rosen. And, I think the proof is in the pudding now. They made the right choice in passing up on Nick Bosa to get Kyler Murray. And it worked out for the 49ers too, so I'm extremely happy with it. Go ahead.
It's one of those things that's just like, again, like you said, premium position. He did a great job last year in a first-year system. He actually improved after the Dolphins traded Kenyon Drake to the Arizona Cardinals. And now coming into this season, he gets DeAndre Hopkins, which, Kyler Murray is about to take the next quantum leap forward. And like you said, its proof was that Josh Rosen wasn't the guy. And I really feel bad for Josh Rosen because he hasn't gotten a fair shake, but that's neither here nor there. I think he should be in New England and have Belichick groom him a little bit. I think that would be the best for him. But, with all that being said, it is a premium position. So, again, like you said, can't really argue with it,
Now, looking at some of the other guys on this list, particularly number 3, Josh Allen of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Going into that draft, there were a lot of people kind of hyping up Josh Allen, saying the 49ers take him. What's that?
Like me. I love Josh Allen.
Yeah. Would he be number 2 if the 49ers took him instead of Nick Bosa, just due to this defensive line, or do you think no?
That's a really hard thing to say. I don't think they're necessarily interchangeable. Where I think Josh Allen excels is from a pure just speed and athleticism advantage. We had some guys that we know who shall remain nameless, Scott, who didn't like Josh Allen, who didn't think that his speed to power would transfer in the NFL. That was proven wrong. It did, and he's a phenomenal player. To say things happen the way they happen, so to say he would be fantastic here, I don't know. I don't know if he would be the type of guy that the 49ers needed. His upside might be a little bit higher than Nick Bosa, but that's because Nick Bosa is such a polished prospect, such a polished player already, that, it's hard to fathom how much better you can get. You know what I mean? But if you're talking about a guy who has opportunity to get, be a double-digit sack guy for 10 years, then, I mean, well, how much higher do you need the ceiling, So I agree with Josh Allen being third. I think he's phenomenal, and he did a lot of it with I don't know if many people know this who, don't follow Jacksonville or whatever. He had a broken hand like early in the season. So he's playing, one hand down. It was in a cast, and he was still able to get, I think he had 10 sacks on the season, 10 and a half. Had a great rookie season. Wasn't quite as dynamic or eye-popping as Nick Bosa was. I mean, Nick Bosa always seemed to be in the highlights between planting the flag and, the insane game that he had against the Carolina Panthers, which pretty much summed up Rookie of the Year for him, or the slide against Washington in the rain. There was just so many Nick Bosa highlights that it was hard to deny. But, in Jacksonville, I mean, Josh Allen made a name for himself.
Yeah, I think the Jaguars are happy with who they got. But Nick Bosa, like you said, so many signature moments for him in his rookie year. Do you think that that's kind of hard for him to follow up with? We talk about sophomore slumps with guys like Debo and Dante Pettis. What about a defensive lineman like Nick Bosa?
No. If he's healthy, if he stays healthy, and they, again, like I said, if they get a healthy D Ford back, and, they still have Kinlaw, they still have Armstead, and you get guys coming back through the rotation, you're not going to be able to concentrate. I saw Nick Bosa get held 7 ways from Sunday last year. And, a lot of times he would get some calls, but a lot of times he wouldn't. And I think part of that is you have to establish yourself, in the NFL. And it's the same thing. People talk and you get superstar calls. Nick Bosa is going to start getting those superstar calls, and defenses or offenses are going to have to change the way that they block him. It's not going to be as easy. You can't hold him all the time. In the Super Bowl, I mean, he essentially got tackled multiple times. Right around the neck, no calls. So this season, I expect that to start to change a little bit, and I wouldn't be surprised if, again, he's just one of those guys that's 10 to 15 sacks every single year, like clockwork.
Thinking of one play in particular is that play where he got Taysom Hill in the backfield while getting held. He luckily did get the call that time. If that doesn't show his just sheer strength and athleticism, I don't know what does, because that's just a perfect example of what Nick Bosa can do. While getting held, still makes the play in the backfield for a loss. He's just a hell of a player. Now, Matt, do you think that this team has so many talented players on that defensive line as it is? He's got to be the best player on the defense, right?
On the entire defense, or just on the defensive line?
On the whole defense.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, yeah, you kind of got to think that he is, right? I mean, well, it's really close between him and a guy that nobody talks about around the league, and that's Fred Warner, who I think is just phenomenal. But that'd be like 1 and 2, I think Sherman's the most intelligent player on the defense. He's got that veteran advantage, but I just don't think that he has, his athleticism is waning a little bit, so I don't think he's quite that player anymore. Yeah. I mean, you think from pure talent and knowledge and technique standpoint, Bosa's got to be right there.
I don't understand, or I understand what you're saying with Fred Warner, possibly even Sherman, but Nick Bosa, the potential for him, man, is phenomenal. He could be one of the greatest defensive players ever if he just continues the path that he's on. And, obviously barring any injuries, but the guy, he came in extremely polished, ready to go day one, and he lit up the NFL like, very, very few rookies have. And I'm extremely excited to see what he has in his sophomore campaign, because I think he could really build on it. Do you think there are certain things you're still looking to see from him, or has he shown a little bit of it all to where you just want to see him kind of keep par?
Yeah, there are a couple things. One, I think that he needs to work a little bit on his recognition in RPO situations. Sometimes he crashes too hard. Sometimes he, settles too much. The other area where I think that he needs to work on a little bit is finishing. Sometimes he will overrun a play. as far as, you know, hey, got a hand on somebody, but he missed, you know what I mean? And that's not to say he doesn't hustle, because he absolutely does. And he makes things happen. You know, you'll find him down the field. I'm saying on that initial move, there are times when he's had the quarterback dead to rights and the quarterback has made a last minute move and he couldn't adjust. So you'd like to see a little bit more recognition in those things, but that comes with experience in the NFL. You know, it's about, okay, you know, the left tackle is going to try to leverage me, you know, this way. I need to be able to counter that this way, you know, and it's just experience and a little bit of, you know, getting out there and, you know, recognizing. And, you know, they say, you know, the game slows down for the elite players, you know, and it's not just quarterbacks. It's going to be everybody. The more you recognize, the easier it is. It becomes second nature. It becomes muscle memory. And so the more Nick Bosa goes along, the easier it's going to be for him, and he's not going to have to think about it. And I think that that's something, especially with those RPO style plays, that you caught him thinking about things sometimes. And so if he can make that more of a reactionary thing and bred into himself as far as a player goes, he's going to be that much better for it.
All right, guys, let's hope we see it. I think we'll wrap it up there. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. Our handles are below on the screen. And make sure you hit the like button. Drop a comment below. How much better can Nick Bosa get? How many sacks do you think he'll have next year? And subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this.
Go ahead and click the bell for notifications. We're always bringing you great 49ers content.
Thanks, guys.
Go Niners.